Thank you. In the interest of sort of time and fleshing this out, potentially we've raised more questions, I think, certainly than we've answered, but that's the joy of a hearing. I would like to open this up for public comments. If you've signed up for... Yeah. Okay, and I'm told that we have... somebody's writing is worse than mine. Anna Damiani from Mark Leno's office is here, and I'm not sure I got the name correctly, so that you do. Senator Leno's office is represented, and I introduced Assemblymember Chu's staff, and we'll start public comment with Susan Kennedy from Assemblymember Kevin Mullen's office, who wanted to make a statement. Mr. Mullen represents the district just to the south of here. So we'll start public comment with Ms. Kennedy, and then if anyone else has signed up for public comment, then please come forward.
Thank you, Chairman Stone. I am proud to be here today delivering a statement on behalf of Assemblymember Speaker Pro Tem Kevin Mullen. I want to thank the Judiciary Committee for holding this hearing today, especially as it relates to the Archbishop of San Francisco's proposed changes to the existing faculty handbook. When Assemblymember Ting and I engaged the support of other Bay Area legislators earlier this year to oppose the proposed morality clauses, I was deeply concerned that we were dealing with a situation that would deprive our fellow citizens of basic civil rights. The proposed morality clauses have the potential to set a dangerous precedent in the area of workers' rights, and it is critical that we make certain that no employee is deprived of the civil rights guaranteed to all Californians. I am and always will be an advocate of equality for all. My own Catholic education taught me the importance of tolerance and compassion, and it is my hope that the teachers and students in our Catholic high schools can be free of discrimination. As the new school year approaches, they should be focused on high-quality education rather than issues that are divisive and distracting. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you. So there's a number of people who have signed up. If you've signed up or would like to speak, please, if you could just line up at the microphone, come on down. That saves me having to call on folks. And I'm going to ask people to keep their comments to about a minute, if you would. And we're happy to hear public comment at this time. Don't be shy. Good morning.
Good morning.
Oh, right about noon, so almost not good morning.
Nearly good afternoon. Good morning and afternoon, and thank you. My name is Kathy Curran, and I'm the mother of 3 children who have gone through Catholic elementary schools, high schools, and college. Our youngest son is a freshman at Sacred Heart Cathedral. I myself went through 19 years of Catholic school. My brother is a priest, my aunt is a nun, my great-uncle was an archbishop. I have taught in Catholic high schools, have worked in Catholic social service agencies nearly all of my adult life. I go to Mass on Sundays. I'm a little nervous. I am deeply rooted in my Catholic faith and very committed to Catholic schools. I am dismayed and incensed by what Archbishop Cordileone is attempting to do. It's harming our children, threatening our teachers, and destroying the fabric of our schools. My family has worked tirelessly for months to fight the Archbishop's efforts and to uphold what Catholic schools ought to be: rigorous academic institutions where intellectual curiosity is encouraged, where all children are embraced as they were created, and where teachers are called to promote the bedrock Catholic values of compassion, love, and justice. The Archbishop, by focusing on a narrow and contested piece of church doctrine, is undermining all of this. In the past several months, hundreds upon hundreds of parents, students, alumni, and friends have packed themselves into prayer vigils and services, educational forums, processions, and press conferences, opposing the Archbishop's proposals.
I'm going to need you to conclude.
Yeah. Thousands of people have written letters, signed petitions, and spoken publicly. We fight because we know the costs of the Archbishop's agenda. I comforted the dad whose daughter cried throughout the night because she was ashamed her father, her gay father, was gravely evil. I spoke with the mother of the 15-year-old who feared that allowing her son to attend a vigil would be dangerous because the Archbishop had unleashed gay-bashing extremists who might wreak havoc in a public gathering. I talked with the teacher who lamented not being able to comfort and support his gay student, who wondered if she would ever experience love. I know the teenager who contemplated suicide because the climate of teasing and abuse was just too great. This is real.
Thank you.
This is bad, and we need your help. And I thank you for your support in trying to ensure that our children are safe and supported in the schools and the teachers are protected and respected. Thank you.
Thank you. And so we'll go from side to side. And I know everybody has prepared a great speech, but if we could keep it to about a minute each, I want to make sure everybody has the opportunity to speak. And so the longer that you take, the less time we'll have to ensure that everybody gets a chance to speak. So please.
Thank you. Good morning, afternoon. My name is Erin Kaiser, and I am a civics and government teacher at Sacred Heart Cathedral here in San Francisco. I've grown up in San Francisco Archdiocesan schools, having attended St. Anne's in the Sunset District, and then at Sacred Heart Cathedral myself as a teenager. In those schools, I always felt safe and accepted, as did all of my classmates. I was encouraged by my teachers to think critically and independently. It's for this reason that I wanted to become a teacher at SHC. I knew as a teacher I would be able to return that favor to a new generation of students. I wanted to be the teacher who challenges my students to think for themselves and to be responsive to the inherent dignity of all people. The Archbishop's vision for our schools represents a change from what has become a hallmark of Catholic education in San Francisco. I should not fear going to work each day thinking that my job is in jeopardy based on someone else's interpretation of my Catholic faith. My personal life does not enter my classroom, so my school, which is a place of employment for me, should not enter my personal life. The Archbishop's proposed language would His proposed language would represent a huge shift in how we teach our classes, as well as how we interact with our students in the hallways before and after school, during breaks and at lunches. Many of our teachers open up their classrooms as safe spaces for our students to seek out a place to be able to begin to imagine and articulate their beliefs, and these proposed changes would significantly alter the relationships we strive to achieve with our students and create. I know for a fact that there are at least a few teachers who have already feared the repercussions of such changes to our working conditions and have decided to leave our faculties. This not only hurts our faculty in terms of diversity of our backgrounds, but it will have a very significant impact on our most vulnerable students, those that are most in need. And as teachers, we have a special responsibility to advocate for those students' well-beings. Thank you.
Thank you. Please.
My name is Patrick Dunn. I'm a Sacred Heart Cathedral math teacher for 13 years, and I'm a former union rep as well. This really comes down to two priorities for me. Those priorities are to protect our teachers and, more importantly, to protect the students. If teachers go to work on a daily basis knowing that if they tell an LGBT student that they are wrong, that there's something wrong with them, if they cannot support that child is in danger, period. There's nothing really else to it. I mean, my rights as a worker are secondary to my protection of the children that I'm entrusted to. Thank you.
Thank you. Please.
Hi, my name is Jerry Garber, and I'm a parent at SHC. My daughter's a rising senior, and we're one of those Jewish families that many of you have referred to. My aunt was worried because we decided to send our Jewish daughter to Catholic school. Won't Natalie experience anti-Semitism? In response, I said, not at SHC. I was assured by admissions there is room at the table for everyone. That is the beauty of SHC. I remember vividly walking into my daughter's religion class on back-to-school night in 9th grade. Although I was open to Catholic school, I was uneasy about the religion classes. The teacher opened by saying, yes, this is a religion class, but it is a class for students of all religions. As the admissions, think of it as a history class. As the admissions administrators promised, my daughter Natalie would not be subject to proselytizing. But now SHC's beauty hangs in the balance. Under the Archbishop's proposed contract, that religion teacher could be terminated if she said those words. In fact, under the Archbishop's proposal, my daughter's wonderful ethics teacher would not be able to allow my daughter to demonstrate a Jewish prayer or share challah on the Sabbath. The ethics teacher would possibly be fired and my daughter condemned. As a Jew, this discrimination is all too familiar. Many of our teachers grew up wanting to be teachers. They pursued a goal and accomplished it. Now their employer is telling them, we're happy to keep you on as long as you agreed to being a minister rather than an educator. The Archbishop's contract proposals make it impossible for teachers to teach critical thinking or encourage a free exchange of ideas without repercussions. Teachers are the only adults some children have to talk to. The Archbishop is creating a community where those children would not be safe any longer. Who would they turn to without the safety of opening up to their teachers? When anyone, especially someone in power, tries to discriminate against an employee or infringe on human rights, we must stand up for each other. As a concerned parent, it's my duty to protect the teachers from the iron fist that the Archbishop is using to change our teachers' chosen professions to ministers. Like others before him, he is hiding behind the cloak of religion and manipulating the law, thinking no one will notice. Well, we do notice, and we are going to protect our teachers' rights with all our might. And I really thank you for this time.
Thank you. Please.
Good afternoon. My name is Michael Kern-Levitt. As a sophomore at Sacred Heart Cathedral, I'm blessed with school-wide diversity in race, income, interests, and sexual orientation. I love how all my classmates and teachers can feel accepted and at home every day. This needs to continue and, in fact, intensify. Students need to be able to love themselves for who they are. Teachers cannot be forced to tell a student that they're a sinner simply for how they were born. Coming into high school last year, I was very impressed by the caliber of my teachers. Through all of this, they were honest, resolute, and understanding. I had teachers missing classes for meetings with union reps and administrators. They would return, acting like everything was fine. But their reality was clear. Many of them were thinking about themselves and their friends being fired from their jobs, and how they being limited in what and how they could teach, and not being able to give the compassion and the respect they wanted to give to all of their students, especially those who were gay. We have to stop this. A student shouldn't feel marginalized by their school. A science teacher shouldn't be commanded to teach church doctrine. Parents shouldn't have to fear that their child would be told that he or she was conceived by sin. The only way to stop this from happening is for you to make a law that protects the rights of teachers and makes students feel safe. I ask you to please take our concerns seriously and act on behalf of all students and teachers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Brian Cahill. I'm the former executive director of Catholic Charities in San Francisco, and I'm the father of a gay son. 2 quick points. The Archbishop has the authority to promulgate Catholic teaching, but how a bishop promotes that teaching is all important. How does a Catholic organization, a school that does not limit its hiring to Catholics, does not limit its service to Catholics, how does it manage the tension between what our church teaches in the area of sexuality and how that organization is supposed to carry out its mission, support its staff, serve its students in the pluralistic society in which it necessarily lives? And the answer is very carefully. Pope Francis understands this. This Pope is not changing any doctrine, at least in the present time, but his sense of pastoral compassion, his sense of inclusiveness, he understands how tricky this issue is. The Archbishop clearly doesn't have a clue about this issue because he's come in with a sledgehammer with a heavy-handed, sex-obsessed approach. And all it's done is caused divisiveness, it's caused pain, it's caused uncertainty, and in many areas it's called revulsion. The other point I would make is the Archbishop says he is not on a witch hunt, that he doesn't want to out gay and lesbian teachers. But he doesn't have to. There will be plenty of folks outside the Chancery office who will be willing to do that work. And if you look around the country, you'll see that's happened in dioceses all over the United States. And loyal, dedicated teachers who are faithful to the educational mission, teachers who would never consider undermining their schools or in any way harming their students, those teachers, through no fault of their own, will be at risk, and they will be fired, and the students they serve will be at risk. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Michaela Presti, and I'm a parent and alum at Marin Catholic High School. I'm going to forego my points because you've heard a lot of them. But I just wanted to tell you how personal this has become for a lot of us. My son, who was conceived through IVF, came home one day with tears in his eyes because he was asked by his theology teacher to write about IVF after hearing a lecture on how morally reprehensible it was. He knew he was conceived through IVF. I've had parents since then tell me who had their children through IVF feel like they can now never tell their children how they were conceived because they're afraid of how they will be treated. I met with the president at Marin Catholic after this, and my brother is a teacher there, so this is also personal from that level. And he told me that nothing would change at the school with these changes in the teacher's contract and in their handbook. And how could that possibly be? How can a child who's questioning his sexual identity feel safe in a school where this is all they've been talking about? What epitomized this for me was when the 5 nuns at Marin Catholic walked out when the students were participating in the National Day of Silence, and the nuns left the school out of protest. How does that make those kids feel? Thank you.
Thank you. Please.
My name is Elizabeth Purcell. I've been a teacher for over 40 years, and most of that time I have taught in Catholic schools. In May of this year, as a teacher, I was sitting in my classroom early in the morning, and one of my students came in, and he asked me if I had a minute. And I asked him if he needed to close the door, and he did. And then he sat down, and he said, "You know I'm gay, right?" I said I did. Then he asked me if it was true that I had been part of the demonstrations against the contract the Archbishop wanted teachers to sign. I said it was. He then said to me, "Does that mean that you don't believe that I am gravely evil?" I took a deep breath. I looked him in the eye and I said, "Let me quote the Catholic Catechism. You are made in the image and likeness of God. That means you are perfect." And he started to cry. That's what this is about. Perhaps the Archbishop's language is not technically or legally hate speech, but it is hateful speech if it makes vulnerable teenagers question their goodness and their value. As a teacher, I am a mandated reporter. If I knew a parent was repeatedly using language like gravely evil or intrinsically disordered to one of my students, I would do everything in my power to have that child removed from that abusive situation. Both the Archbishop's language and the ideas behind it are dangerous to children's well-being. I am asking you to protect teachers so that we can continue to protect our students. And let me add that I believe you should do exactly what Mr. Berman said. I think you should go to the websites of the schools, and you will find that they are advertising for English teachers, math teachers, science teachers. They are not advertising for English ministers, math ministers, and science ministers. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Gina Wellish, and I am here as an alumni of Marin Catholic High School. One of the 4 schools directly affected by the handbook and the contract that Archbishop Salvatore Cordileone has proposed. After graduating this year, I worry deeply for the job security of my teachers. Unfortunately, the new school year is fast approaching, and I am still deeply worried. I have gone to Catholic school my entire life, and I'm a lover of learning. I love to learn because I've had teachers who saw the potential in me. They taught me important lessons to succeed both in and out of the classrooms. One of my favorite teachers once told me a quote by William Arthur Ward. The mediocre teacher tells, the good teacher explains, the superior teacher demonstrates, the great teacher inspires. I'm here today to tell you that I've had great teachers who've inspired me. I want great teachers for the future and current students of these schools. I was so fortunate to learn from the most amazing people I know, and I will do whatever I can to make sure my teachers stay great. And by great, I don't mean great ministers. I mean great teachers. A great teacher's job is plain and simple. Teach, discuss, enlighten, and most of all, empower. Empower their students to change the world. Empower their students to be the best that they can be. That is what a teacher is hired to do. A teacher is not hired to condemn, criticize, or belittle a student's lifestyle. A teacher is hired to educate kids on how to think, not what to think. I want my teachers to be teachers. I don't want them to be ministers, both for personal and legal reasons. Legally, it would reduce the rights of teachers under federal and state law and the ability of their union to effectively advocate for its members. I don't want my teachers to lose their jobs because they supported a student who was born from in vitro fertilization. I don't want my teachers to lose their jobs for loving and respecting their spouse, child, or friend that the Archbishop believes is gravely evil.
Thank you.
My name is Jim McGarry. I'm here for 3 reasons. The first, as a parent, I have a total of 7 children, stepchildren, and grandchildren in the Catholic schools of the Archdiocese of San Francisco or have graduated. Secondly, I'm here as a teacher. I formerly taught for 32 years in Catholic schools in this archdiocese, including St. Ignatius College Prep, Mercy San Francisco, and Sacred Heart Cathedral Prep. I'm here also as a member of Catholic Scholars for Workers' Justice, and I'd like to read a statement we have prepared. Catholic Scholars for Workers' Justice speaks in strong opposition to efforts by the Archdiocese of San Francisco to seek any form of ministerial exception for the teachers of the Archdiocese Catholic schools. We believe the invocation of this civil law stands in clear violation of the natural moral law that respects the teacher's right to free association and the protection of justly created civil laws. In Catholic teaching, any law, civil or ecclesiastical, that is not rooted in the divine law is no law at all. We call upon all Catholic employers, including the Archdiocese of San Francisco, to renounce the use of the ministerial exception that can be employed to violate the natural moral rights of their employees. We believe the Archbishop of San Francisco has no legal or moral right to extract from the high school teachers' union contract language that would essentially concede that the teachers are ministers within the meaning of the judicially developed law that seeks to balance individual legal rights against the free exercise clause. Under existing law, the courts will decide in each case whether the Archbishop's defense based on the ministerial exception is well taken or not. That is the way it should be because the legal test is highly individualized and dependent on the facts and circumstances of each case. The Archbishop is seeking to excuse himself from having to make that showing in each case by extracting language that could amount to a waiver by the union of its members' individual rights, some of which may not even be waived by law. Social justice demands that the Archbishop must prove his entitlement to use the defense in each case that may arise. He should not be entitled to excuse himself from having to do so. He would effectively dispense with the role of the courts. This constitutes a grave violation of the human rights of high school teachers in the Archdiocese. Small paragraph left. Catholic Scholars for Social Justice stands ready to be of assistance to the Archdiocese of San Francisco, to the high school teachers of the Archdiocese as they seek a just settlement to the present crisis. There is much in the rich tradition of Catholic social teaching and best practices in the secular sphere that can promote justice for all and the reconciliation of opposing viewpoints. We especially urge the parties involved to review the detailed examination of workers' rights and employer responsibility that is found in the compendium of the social doctrine of the Catholic Church. Thank you.
Thank you. And if you wanted to present that statement to the committee, we'll make it a part of the record. And that's true for anybody's statements. If you'd like to submit them to us, we will make it a part of the record. Please.
Hi there. Thank you for meeting with us. My name is Mona Dunn, and I have taught science, UC accredited for 10 years at Sacred Heart Cathedral, and I'm in agreement with everything that's been said so far, but I wanted to address what was said earlier. Our approved texts and curriculum teach about the Earth's 4.5 billion year age and evolution as the only data-supported scientific theories. I have never once been told to teach anything else. I fear that we will be forced to change the curriculum in order to make a case for ministerial exception. Thank you.
Thank you.